Hey guys, how you going? Welcome to the second podcast of this little series I'm trying to do where I talk to some of my favorite creators and kind of pick their brains about all sorts of topics about Kingdom Hearts, from the future of the series to the past events to subsequent or sort of tangential titles. And on that note, well, actually, start off. Water, would you mind introducing yourself, man?
I knew you were gonna say something about that. I was like racking my brain to think about something.
Well, the canon.
I
Yeah, please.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Yeah, my name's WaterKH. I do YouTube kind of. I try to do YouTube, and then I just kind of dabble with different projects regarding Kingdom Hearts. Me and Damo worked on like a metal viewer like ages ago. I think that's how we first met. And right now I'm working on like a crowd controller for Kingdom Hearts, Final Mix 2 or 2 Final Mix.
That's right.
But yep. And then I just kind of lurk around other Kingdom Hearts content creators. And that's me.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of your theory videos have done really, really, really well on YouTube. So if you haven't seen them already, feel free to
Yeah.
check them out. Like, the editing is just fantastic. Like the thought and the scripting behind it is just really outstanding. So I highly encourage you guys to check
Thank
it
you.
out. And of course, the link will be in the description to do that. But today's topic, I thought we'd talk about, and you'll have to forgive me, audience, because a lot of you, I'm sure, will have a lot more knowledge about this than I do. But I wanted to talk about The World Ends With You, mainly because I played it recently through a Kingdom Hearts lens. Obviously, like, I've played all the Kingdom Hearts games multiple times, and recently played the Switch version of The World Ends With You, and including its. I haven't quite finished the one of the post game episodes another day, but I know what happens. Like, I've read about what happens, and I will play it myself eventually. But through that lens, I could not help but notice either intentional or unintentional references, not references, but like similarities between themes, between, I guess, I mean, like setting potentially, like character design, obviously, but a lot of different things that really made me go, wow, these two series, despite the fact that, The World Ends With You was released a long time ago on the DS, and it's only recently been sort of brought back into cultural zeitgeist now through the Switch version and through the upcoming anime. I really wouldn't be surprised
Oh,
if
that's
we
right.
see more of that in the Kingdom Hearts series. In fact, it could happen sooner than we think. Waterman, what was your experience with The World Ends With You? Like, because I think you are definitely more knowledgeable than I am on the game.
No, I'm not. Hopefully I haven't given you that impression. But no, yeah. So I remember I got it way back when it released on the iPhone.
Hmm.
I had like an iTouch, I think, like
Uh huh.
way old. And I think my brother Biorox, I think he was the one that
You have a brother?
picked it up first. Yeah. Wait, you say I have a brother?
I'm kidding.
Sorry. um, but yeah, so he picked it up and then I picked it up and I hated it. I didn't like it at all. I think it's because the screen was too small and so it was really hard to.
Right.
And I was like really young, I guess, at the time too. I don't think I was even. I might have been around the time when I got into Kingdom Hearts.
Hmm.
So I didn't know who Namor was or any connections with that.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, I thought it just felt like it was really clunky and stuff. But that's probably because I was really young. But yeah, replaying it on because yeah, I got on the Switch, and yeah, it was really good. I know there's a lot of complaints with it, but I think it's because I played it on I played it docked, so I played it with a controller.
Right.
Oh wait, no.
You played it
I
handheld,
played
didn't
it
you?
non-docked. Yeah, handheld.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Without the controller's touchscreen, yeah. And so I think because the screen was a lot bigger and you had a lot more control, I think, with touching and stuff.
Hmm.
I had a really good experience with it. It was really fun. I think I beat it in like a week or less.
Wow. Yeah. So you really,
Just
really enjoyed it.
yeah, I went pretty hard on it. I think too because I could handheld it. I could just do it like
Yeah.
if
You'd
I'm
have to,
going to
like,
bed, I can just
commit.
play it in bed, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's one of the huge
Yeah.
benefits of the Switch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I had a really positive experience with it.
That's
How about
awesome.
you?
I first picked it up on the ancient, big, clunky DS a long, long time ago. Probably a little bit after it came out, in probably 2007, 8, 9, somewhere in that ballpark. Um,
Oh,
I,
okay.
but I couldn't get into it. I think one of the first quests you have to do is that you have to, like, go past this shop in the first couple of days of the game. Uh, I guess we're not going to try and we'll give spoiler warnings, I suppose, before we really get into, like, any hardcore stuff about this, because I really,
Right.
having played it, I really encourage playing it. Like everyone to try it out. Like I think it's a really masterful story in the way that like it sets up all these mysteries, and then it really like takes its time doling out the answers, but at a really consistent pace. And the fact that it's all contained in one game isn't like the Kingdom Hearts thing where it's like, oh yeah, you'll find that out in 4 games time. Like it's mostly there are still some lingering mysteries for sure, but you get pretty much everything you want to know resolved by the end of the title. But I remember like within the first couple of like, you know, the first hour of the game, you get sent off to basically go like help a guy replace a part in a stage. And I ended up going to the shop, and everyone's talking about how their throat's sore, how, you know, the singer can't, you know, he wants cough drops, and this random person on the street wants cough drops, and I'm like, well, I can see them in the shop here, but this guy won't let me buy them. Why won't this guy let me buy them? And I know the story stuff is that way, like what I'm meant to do, but this is obviously a side quest right here. I have to be able to do the side quest, and I got so obsessed with doing that I didn't play the game. I was like, well, I can't do the side quest, so I guess I'll look up how to do it and I'll come back to it. And I never came back to it. And so I think my save file is probably like hasn't been touched in probably over 10 years on one of the first 2 days. But yeah, no, only really recently picked it up on the Switch and sort of streamed that over like a week and a half and just loved it. Really had a good time with it. And same again, like kind of had issues with the controls because obviously you're not on a touchscreen anymore. You've got the 2 independent Joy-Cons. And some controls work really well, like some simple movements that don't require you to like hold your character or like as your character's moving around, sort of trace your character or enemies. Those things work really well. Like simple movements work really well. Complicated ones, awful, god awful with the Joy-Cons. But when it's working well, it's a lot of fun. I had a really, really great time with it, and I think, though of course, like the sprite-based assets have a lot of charm to them. The line artwork is just beautiful in the Switch version. Like I really, really, really think it's an aesthetically a treat to watch and to play. So
did they change the art style? I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, well, like it was literally just, you know, pixel-based sprites originally. Like not for everything. Like for the cutscenes, you still have the artwork, but I feel like a lot of them have been upscaled to higher res versions because obviously, you know, it initially would have fit on a tiny little DS screen versus, you know, the full HD experience that it is now. I have a feeling they redrew a lot of the art. Well, maybe like scaled it upwards, I should say. Like I know a lot of the art's probably still original, the original stuff. But
right.
Like the player models themselves, like the actual character you're running around as, they definitely redrew those, 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, no, I really had a great time with it.
Oh, you even play with like both of them at the same time, the both Joy-Cons?
Yeah.
I don't know how you did that.
I recommend it. Like it takes not a long time to get used to, but it takes a while to get used to. But once you have it, it's pretty good. Shiki is great to play with in that sense. Other people less so, just because you kind of don't want to focus.
Joshua's probably difficult because you got to like press, right?
Yeah.
Or like swipe down or something. It's weird.
Yeah, so each party character that you're playing with has 3 techniques they can pull off. Yeah, like the second week's character is like you tap with them.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I need to be better about that.
Yeah, that's why I was like kind of being a bit vague about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the third character you team up with is probably the worst, I think, just because you have to really focus with them the most. Like it's not just a simple input for 2 out of 3 of their attacks. So to sort of like try and keep a chain of attacks going, it's a little bit more involved. But I really need to practice more of it.
Because I think I had an inverse experience. I think I didn't think Shiki was that great, and Joshua was pretty good. And then damn it, the first okay, let me just so the first character I didn't. Yeah, this is difficult for me.
Let's say it, I can just beep it. Actually, yeah, and let's say it, I can just beep it. I'll just try and remember.
Well, that's more post edit for you. I don't know.
I'm gonna do it anyway.
But anyway, yeah. So like the inverse, I think was I ended up enjoying the last character more than the first character. A lot more. I don't even know why. I think it was just maybe easier with the touch screen stuff.
That's very possible.
To the Joy-Cons.
That's very possible. Oh yeah, no, that's probably right because I know the first character's like attack, you either tap, swipe, or hold down, and you can just hold down anywhere and the attack will just follow it. But I would always hold down with the left Joy-Con and I know an attack would be coming out, but I guess you'd have to be pressing your finger in that spot and sort of tracing it would be the equivalent action when you're holding the switch. So that actually could be a pain in the butt.
You actually don't get the same attacks, I don't think,
Really?
as you do. Yeah.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I think you only get 2 when you're playing with just yourself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I don't think I ever used their like 3rd attack that you used.
Interesting. I'll have to try it out. I will at some point try it out. I guess I am more of
I could be totally wrong too, but I don't think I ever used a 3rd attack.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
Which they seem to wreck a lot.
But yeah, I guess the more I played through it, the more connections I sort of drew to, and I guess at this point we will start talking like a bit more spoilerish. So if you haven't played the game, we have said nothing so far that should preclude you for like spoiler game at all for you. Like I really think jumping in head first and trying to know nothing about it, because like the anime's coming soon. I guarantee people will be talking about it lots and lots and lots more when the anime comes out, and it'll be like, oh, I can't believe they did this scene like this. Like especially if they go ahead and change things in the Mora style, they go ahead and change from the original. Like it's going to be all over your timeline is what I'm saying. So basically try and get in and play it now if you can before all that happens. But yeah, go ahead and play it. And I guess for everyone else that's already sort of played it or doesn't care about spoilers, then I guess we'll keep talking. But yeah, so I would start to notice more and more and more things as I kept sort of playing through that really reminded me of Kingdom Hearts. And obviously like the What Ends With You characters show up in Kingdom Hearts 3D, and I don't think that's...
It's not by accident.
No, exactly right, yeah. I mean, it may have started as like, oh, cheeky little... We'll just put out, our beloved characters here that may not have a chance
I'm
otherwise.
kind of wondering at that point if they like not run out of money, but it's like, all right, we don't really have the funds to request another Square Enix character, so let's just use like Tetsuya Nomura's characters that he's already made, kind of thing.
I do wonder.
Almost like, because I didn't even know if he owns those though.
Oh, and who?
But that was my thought process.
Yeah, creative producer, main character, art designer. Literally, the credits are playing right now. So he's the creative producer, or credited as in the beginning of The What Ends With You. But
like he made Sora, Riku, and Kairi and that stuff, but they're all owned by Disney.
Yeah, obviously, Kingdom Hearts is a funny thing, but because like it's
that's true.
And Disney's very like protective of all their properties and stuff. But obviously they show up in Traverse Town, and half of the gimmick there is that the world is split into 2, which like obviously just like the initial DS game, where whenever you'd enter into combat, your 2 characters that had been paired up at the time would split into the top and bottom screen of the DS, and they would never actually fight in the same place. Well, how would that work on the phone? I guess
I don't know what you're talking about.
I guess you wouldn't know then, right? Yeah, because you only played on the phone, so it's effectively, from what I understand, the Switch version is more akin to the phone version than the DS version. On the DS, yeah, you would literally have the top screen dedicated to like your party character, and Neku would be on the bottom. So you'd be dragging your Sykes around on the bottom screen. You'd be activating your flames, whatever, with the Joy-Con, and with the D-pad, which you held on your left hand. Well, if you were right, I guess you didn't really have a choice. Right. I guess you always had to. Maybe you could set it to be right-handed mode and use the ABXY as
right.
Anyway, anyway, with the D-pad, assuming you're right-handed, you would go up, down, left, right, and basically activate little attacks with your partner character. And I have to remember because it's been a long time. I think the same enemy would appear on the same screen, on both screens at the same time.
On both screens, okay.
And you would just be attacking them from both sides simultaneously, from both parts of the. You'd be attacking the enemy which showed up on both, from the top and bottom screen simultaneously. I think. When some enemies would only appear on one and would like switch around and be little gimmicky stuff, but for the main part, I think an enemy would appear on both screens simultaneously, and any attack they did would damage, like your partner could be hurt, and it would take away from your overall health bar. That's why, because the health bar would run across both screens, so it would extend. Oh yeah, and the boss's health character. The boss's health bar usually was on the left, and the players was on the right, and they would both run up the screen, both screens, I should say. Anyway. So I think that's why like the Traverse Town link is there, that it was meant to be these 2 parallel worlds, very much akin to the initial DS version of The World Ends With You. And I think I mentioned to you recently, like, let me see if I can pull it up now. You do actually see that.
Oh, sorry.
You're gonna go please. I'm gonna look up this cutscene anyway, so go for it.
Okay. I was gonna say I think I disagree with you on your take of what Traverse Town is.
Yeah, please.
Because well, can you give like a definition? Because you mentioned parallel worlds and then like it being split into two.
Well, that was what Joshua's initial read was, but he believes he's wrong by the end, right? And honestly, you'd have a better read on this by me. Like, you've done these awesome videos about it. So like, when Joshua first arrives, he's like, something really bad happened to these 4 kids, and effectively I gathered up all their, does he say dreams or memories? I forget. But
I'm pretty sure he says dreams. Yeah.
Okay. So he says he gathered up all their dreams and basically found them a temporary refuge where he can put them. And Traverse Town sort of appeared as that place, because Traverse Town is historically a place that will just appear to you when you're in need of some sort of refuge. Like, obviously Sora and all the people whose homes disappeared kind of just washed up there. Like, they had a strong enough will to sort of maintain their own body, and I guess just sort of plonked up, ended up in Traverse Town. And Joshua's like, well, when I needed someone to put these guys, they appeared there to me as well. And initially he thought, oh, well, 2 different versions of the world appeared, and it's Xehanort's fault. Like, you should blame this guy who's walking down the stairs right now. It's his fault, probably. But he believes himself to be wrong by the end, right? Like, go ahead. Like, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was also looking for a quote I needed. Basically, what you're saying, like, at the end, well, so at the beginning, he's like, yeah, these are 2 parallel worlds, blah, 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 because he knows about parallel worlds, so that's, like, his understanding of it. So, yeah, okay, we can talk about spoilers, because, yeah, he gets pulled into a parallel world, and The World Ends With You. Like, wait.
He disappears into one in the end of week 2, yeah. So Joshua...
Yeah, okay, wait, can we talk about stuff that you might not have played yet?
Yeah, do it. Okay. Do it. Yeah, do it. I know what you're gonna say. Yeah, do it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And another day, you actually so you meet up with Joshua, who's that world's version of Joshua.
Let's call it the prime line. The one that's with you is Joshua. Yeah, who's escaped. At the end of week 2, he quote unquote died from the blast from Minamoto, but actually zipped into a parallel world.
Right. So there's actually 2 of him that exists in that world, and you meet both of them.
Yes.
So I think that's what he was interpreting it as. But my argument to that, which is I find really interesting that he even postulates that, is like, he's saying, yeah, these are 2 parallel worlds. And I guess if he doesn't exist in them, then neither of them exist in them. But anyway, so yeah, if he...
Sorry, you go.
Yeah, so if he was saying there are 2 parallel worlds, then when 2 sets of them like live in that world. But I think what you were saying before is that they like travel to this world, so they don't really exist in this world yet. So them splitting into 2 parallel worlds and them not seeing each other makes sense. Does that make sense? I just spitballing randomness. Anyway. Yeah, so Josh was saying they're parallel worlds at the beginning, and then at the end he's like, well, this doesn't really make sense. And then him and Riku kind of come to the conclusion that both of them are dreams. Both worlds are a dream. And he's saying one is a dream. Well, so my interpretation of that was one is, and it's kind of throughout the whole of Dream Drop Distance, is that Sora's going through the dreams of the world, and then Riku is going through Sora's dreams of that world.
Yeah.
And I think the Secret Reports put out an argument that kind of dissuades that. But I don't know if I agree with it. The only thing, the biggest gripe I have with the worlds, and this isn't a Dream Drop Distance discussion. This is the World Ends With You discussion. But the fact that Sora or Riku can manipulate things within Sora's world, I think, is what drives me crazy.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's just a hard and fast rule that happens in every single world. I do wonder if sometimes they do end up in the same place. like Prankster's Paradise, for example. Like you never really see them both in the same place at the same time, do you? Or that's not a good example. What about
Right.
like the grid? Because is the grid happening like simultaneously for both characters? Like does Sora get there, do his whole adventure, and then Riku rocks up after and like continues the adventure? Because Riku gets them like gets the Tron Legacy characters like out, like he finishes the movie, so to speak. And I think Sora like starts the movie, but
Right.
they're never like, oh, you have a Keyblade like that other kid did. Like it's like they just sort of rock up
Right.
at whatever point. But like according to Kingdom Hearts canon, like could they have even could the canon movie characters have even gotten through that their part in the movie without Sora's intervention or Riku's intervention, whatever. Like
Well, does Sora even do much to help them?
I don't think he does much. The grid cutscenes
Yeah.
are really weird. Like he just sort of rocked up and they're like, oh hey, another a spiky hair kid. Okay, we're doing our thing. You gonna come along? Like are you like?
Yeah. I don't know if they actually end up helping them per se. More just like being there, I guess.
I know Riku at the
Um,
end like helps them escape in the sense of like Clue is coming towards. I should just play the cutscene. Clue is like coming towards them, and despite the fact that the entire premise of Riku being there was like, oh, I'm gonna go to the portal, so I want to escape as well. They just get on the portal and take off because of course Riku's not going to go with them. He
Just
doesn't
gonna leave Riku behind.
Yeah, they don't mention it. They're just like, yep, we're going. Bye.
Well, I gotta think it's weird that Riku would even try to get out. Like,
he said he wanted to go to the portal.
what would
and
have happened?
Well, this is it.
I guess he thinks it's a portal, like a dream portal.
I think logistically he was thinking maybe I can hop to Sora's side if I
Right.
if I find a portal.
That makes more sense then.
Olivia Wilde's face. I'm just playing the grid cutscenes.
Oh yeah,
It's rough.
they look.
Yeah.
They did a really excellent job in Kingdom Hearts 3 with like making those characters
100%
look
better. Actually,
Yeah.
Jeffrey doesn't look too bad. Olivia Wilde got the short end of the stick, unfortunately. And this fella doesn't look too bad. Oh, I guess it's youngerized Jeff Bridges. Anyway, I'm getting off topic.
Yeah, my bad. That whole rabbit trail is not bad.
No, not at all, not at all. But I guess specifically like the first thing I sort of thought of was the description of noise. Maybe I can pull up the secret reports from the World Interview. But noise are like described as. I'm just gonna pull it up. Oh, bang.
Its own plane, right? Is that what you're getting at?
Well, they have their own plane that sort of is like runs along the underground and the real ground plane. Okay, so the World Review postulates that there are like multiple planes of existence that somewhat overlap each other. So the main, let's say, human world is called the real ground, and confusingly named, the underground sits on top of the real ground. And if you're looking down, you can sort of see down into any parallel planes. But if you look up, it's like a two-way glass, or a two-way mirror. I guess it would be. What's the word I'm looking for?
What report are you looking at?
I've got the secret reports page on the wiki. I'm just gonna. I'll send it to you.
Oh yeah, I'm there. Which report?
I was going towards the noise, but I'm just sort of giving context for what we're talking about. Like,
Okay.
I know the noise plane is like meant to run sort of parallel between what sort of like rubs against both of those. So noise can it can't directly interfere with humans in the real ground, but it can possess them and it can affect their moods, and sort of, the negativity from a human being can definitely attract and then generate more noise. And actually, let's just find that, because what I want to talk about with the noise is that it really, to me, sounds just like, in a lot of ways, heartless. Or maybe I suppose like more unversed. Okay, let me see if I can find it.
I think I would. Yeah, I think I would agree with the unversed part. Okay, yeah, keep going.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about I'm going to read report number. Week 1, number 4. Okay, so the underground exists as a separate plane where the composer can judge the worth of man. Within it are reapers and human players. It is infeasible for the composer to judge all of humanity by himself, so a filtering system utilizing the reapers was created. The Reapers game. Reapers act as a test, weeding out unfit players. Upon becoming a reaper, I just moved the thing. One's physical body changes, gaining incredible strength and an extended lifespan. As Reaper and player alike progress through the game, engaging in imagination-driven combat, the soul is refined. Okay, so this is what I wanted to get to. So, soul is abstract matter revealed through our research into life and death, and a component in the makeup of atmosphere, humans, will, thought, or phenomena. As Reapers execute the game, they undergo a process of evolution from grunts to opposites of the composer. Yeah, so that's their promotion chain. However, Reapers that follow the ideal route are rare, and most are erased by players. Reaper or player, those erased within the game disperse the mind and spirit housed within their flesh in the form of soul. So basically, like, the body itself fractures away, and out of that comes the mind and spirit that they contain within. So, to me, that's, I mean, a lot like a nobody in a sense of, like, okay, well, the body itself can perish, and the heart from within is released. And, okay, so thus they are erased only from visible existence. Their soul persists in the underground until gathered and tied together according to a new code. So to me, that's like, well, when you defeat a Heartless in Kingdom Hearts, right? The heart itself sort of goes up back, ideally back into Kingdom Hearts, until the body itself is also destroyed by a Keyblade, which is like how the old... I don't know if that's still true anymore, given how many times the Nobodies have been reformed, but it was the idea that, yeah, you could assume that Sora killed each of the Nobodies Heartless and Organization 13's Heartless, letting them all reform after two, I suppose. And anyway, so this new code is essentially imagination. So yeah, imagination is this other thing I guess we can mention that it's like power in a way, right? It's this sense of like, if you have a tremendous amount of imagination, you have, I guess, a way of like a governance over this world. Like those with extremely high imagination. Well, Neku was chosen initially because he had high imagination, and we'll get to that in a second. But Joshua is said to have like tremendous imagination, and it's sort of like through tuning or channeling your imagination, you can sort of more or less do whatever you want to. Like you can take soul and, you know, turn it into whatever form you want it to. Like that's how you can sort of, you know, that's how like rhyme is preserved as a noise. Like she's preserved initially as a noise and then as a pin. Yeah. Because, you know, you just go, okay, through imagination, I'm going to take her soul and give it the code of a noise, and I'm going to give the code of a pin, whatever. Like,
yeah, it's very volatile. Is volatile the right? Let's say you can do a lot of things, yeah, with it.
Versatile.
There it is.
Yeah. So I guess where I was going with Heartless there is like, to me, if a human is comprised of a bunch of different things in both the Kingdom Hearts and the World of the Universe, wouldn't there be some sort of crossover of like, okay, well, I am gonna now encode your body, like I have the imagination, I'm gonna encode your body as a nobody, right? Like I'm just basically, it's still you at the end of the day because you can turn back. Someone with enough imagination can turn you back. You know, say a Keyblade wielder, for example, and they're just applying their form of transformation by bonking you on the head with a giant key. But what that's actually doing is it is in a way transforming you back into your raw essence and then reforming you once the conditions are right to have, you know, your heart's back again, your body's back again, boop, you're the complete person again. It's same as like anyone in this universe can technically come back to life as well if they win the game. Or they can choose to become a Reaper, or they can choose to like ascend to the plane of angels. And they talk about the whole idea of the Reaper's game. It's a few reports down from this, I think, if you want to scroll to it. But the entire point of the Reaper's game is that they're essentially looking for people with exceptional imagination. Is that the word they use? It's like exceptional imagination, I think, but I could be wrong on that. And those people, if they succeed in the Reaper's game, which in a sense, like, it's combat because it's a video game, obviously, like, I'm going to shoot a fireball at you, whatever, but the way they actually describe it is it's like it's a battle of imaginations, and I think they already said that. Engaging in imagination-driven combat. That's the report I just read. Because like Neku's got a tremendous amount of imagination, he can use all these different pins, and he just looks and sees, oh, this looks like a guy's face on a pin. But through that, he can be like, well, now I shoot a lightning bolt. Well, now I can pick up cars and I can woof them at you. Like, now I can do whatever I want to because I see a little fire symbol and now I can shoot fire at because I have tremendous imagination. So,
is that what that is? Okay,
I'm fairly certain that's the mechanic. So that's the real world excuse for why these different things happening. Like, I think that's why Shiki isn't as talented of a psych user as Neku is, because like that's her whole arc, right? Is that she's not a very good designer,
Well,
and Eri
right, yeah.
calls her out. She's like, I don't think you're meant to be a designer, and sort of Shiki runs off before she can finish that thought. But she's like, but you're an amazing, like, but you then execute those designs flawlessly. Like you bring them to life. Like someone else has the thought, and then you execute on them, perfectly. I think is what Shiki's sort of idea behind her story was. But I guess what I'm getting at is like these two, the idea of like imagination, and a really, 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 really powerful like imagination-driven person could have tremendous influence on this universe, right? Like, and I sort of wonder if the Masters sort of fits that criteria of like, okay, this person can, let's say, tune their vibe. Okay, I want to give context to all these things I'm talking about. So like, basically to ascend through these different planes or descend, angels that exist on these extremely high planes, and there are potentially people even above them, but angels exist on these very, very high frequency. So they say that if they want to come down, they have to like literally tune themselves down and bring their vibe back down so that it can be even like seen, even like understood. Like imagine if you had like a radio or like a TV that's got like no, radio works. I know like in Australia we've gotten these like digital radios now that have like a much there's like way more channels now that only like a brand new radio can see, because I guess I don't know enough about it to make this metaphor.
I think they can transmit higher in the atmosphere or something now, so they don't overlap.
Okay, so that's potentially, yeah. I mean, I 100% believe you. But like a crappier radio that isn't able to tune itself that high couldn't even see those ones in the first place, right? I guess that's we'll go with that. We'll pretend that one works, yeah. Because they say that like lower reapers can't even see the higher class of beings. Like even when they're tuned down, the lower class reapers, even if they're standing right in front of them, still can't even see beings from a higher area. So basically, like, yeah, if Joshua is an angel and he wants to like drop down, he has to like continue lower his power, lower his like own capabilities down to the point where like he practically resembles a mortal human being again. Joshua's a weird case because I guess we still don't even know 100% like what he is.
He was human.
That's what he says. I just don't know how much like stock we can put in that. Like he says, yeah, I've been a human.
True.
I've always been able to see the game going on, blah 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 blah. And I just thought, well, I want to join it. I don't know how much I believe that.
Wait. But that's before, right? That's before
all the reveals, yeah.
So that's him telling. Yeah, okay, that part's a lie, right? Because
you don't know how much of it is the truth, but yeah, please go on.
Oh, right, because I can't remember. Because I think, doesn't he die at I thought he had some I mean, I could be misremembering it. I should have gone back and read over some stuff.
Don't worry. We're on the spitball now.
I think he dies. He goes into the game, he wins, and then he kills the he kills the composer, and then like his imagination is so much higher that he then ascends to the plane of angels, and like is able to change his form and stuff like that.
Okay,
that was my impression of it.
Well, because they say that like the only way to have a new composer is to kill the previous one, so one would assume Joshua isn't Shibuya's first composer. One would assume. Now, okay,
right.
You could potentially call that into question because at one point Joshua quizzes Neku about the like history of the city, and he's like, oh, the story of Hachiko, the story is that blah 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 blah. He was waiting for his owner every day, or maybe he just liked chicken because there was a chicken like kiosk right around the corner or something. Like, what do you think, Neku? And he asks him all these questions, and I sort of like going back watching this again. I was like, is he kind of like flexing that he actually knows because he was here, like he has been here for this amount of time, for this long?
I could see him being there a long time.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe he could be lying. I don't know.
I don't. Maybe this is like one of the things I haven't read yet, because again, there's like a tiny bit of the game I still haven't actually gone through myself. But yeah, my understanding was I wasn't sure how he actually got to the position that he has, and whether he started as a human once upon a time or had always been an angel or what. Because I figure like even Joshua is prohibited from doing things, right? Like he has rules about this game and he's prohibited to do things. And Mr. H is saying like this particular game for the fate of all of Shibuya is causing, ruffle, is causing a ruckus in the plane of the angels. Everyone's keeping a close eye on what happens here. Got the hiccups now. On what happens here. So one would assume that means that there is like probably levels of being above even Joshua that dictate these rules. No, we can't just do whatever the hell we want. We have to follow protocol here. We have to follow a set of rules and guidelines. Blah 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 blah.
And I guess because I kind of was understanding that people who lived in Shibuya would take up the role of composer if they defeated that. Because I assume in the next day or whatever, or what?
Another day.
Or the next
another is it new day or another day?
A new day, yeah.
A new day.
So in that one, it shows that like, Shinjuku has like its own underground as well. And
Correct.
I would say its own composer conductor or composer.
That was another one of my like little parallels there. That each underground is separate, and Joshua even says at one point like we can see all these other worlds. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. We can see all these other undergrounds, but we can never go to them. Like they're locked into their own one. They can't leave it.
Okay.
Which again, that sort of reminded me of worlds. Like even characters that aren't necessarily aware of them are sort of aware that there are other worlds out there. Like the whole
right.
there are many worlds, one sky, one destiny thing. So I did sort of think like there's a strange little parallel there. Like you could say, okay, could England be its own, or I guess like, could, Great Britain, whatever, be its own underground? Like I have multiple undergrounds within it, like, and France would be a different one. Well then, hey, we have part of Neverland that takes place in England, right? Well, we have La Cité de friggin' whatever. I forget what it's called. Le Cloche, whatever. Le Cloche. I forget what it's called.
I call it Notre Dame.
That Notre Dame takes place in, right? Like it's technically all part of the Earth, right? But it's its own independent place that can't be left. And it's like, well, that's, in a lot of ways just like an underground. It's the worlds are very similar to them in that sense.
Very true. Yeah.
I was like, well, am I just really reading into things that are nothing here, or is it that again? I feel so sorry for the World Ends With You fans that are like, no Kingdom Hearts bullshit. I don't want it anywhere near my series. I like it the way it is. It was a cool little DS game. It's gonna get an anime. Hey, maybe it'll get a sequel. That's all. Keep your Kingdom Hearts crap out of it. I just think to me personally, I think I got bad news for you because like, if you've got the same like creative director running both the Kingdom Hearts series and the World Ends With You series, and like how many fictional Shibuyas you want to even have in your head? Surely one is enough. Like, which in itself has multiple parallels. Surely you're just like, let's keep this simple. It's all part of the same series. Blah 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 blah. To the fact that Sora has now gone to a Shibuya in which a 104 tower exists, and obviously like, what is it? The particular brand of Japanese shopping district that owns the actual 109 tower and like owns the rights to the name. Of course, you can't just say it's 109, but like, Tokyo, whatever it's called.
I don't know.
So I guess like maybe it's just easier for Square, particularly like the Kingdom Hearts branch, to, like I guess Nomura, to have its own little branch of, well, whenever we come here, we'll just call it 104. But I don't know. The fact that Sora wakes up in the Shibuya Scramble in pretty much the exact same way that Neku does at the beginning of The World Ends With You, which I guess I can pull up on the screen.
It's like not one to one, but like eerily similar.
It's very similar.
And,
yeah. The fact that Neku's like, hey, I'll see you in Shibuya, to Sora.
And then he arrives in Shibuya.
And he's literally one game later effectively in Shibuya. Yeah.
Do you think we're going to get like, well, because like in those scenes, Sora's like super HD. Are we going to see like super HD versions of Neku and Joshua?
Assuming we see them again, I don't see why not, right? Like Sora went from
insane.
the Kingdom Hearts 2 art style to that.
Yeah.
So I
didn't think about that.
Yeah. I can't imagine why not, right? Like why wouldn't they? They're not going to be back in the Kingdom Hearts 2 art style because Sora isn't anymore. And from his point of view, his art style never changed. He just if he looks at
Well,
himself,
we
he sees
kind of did with Melody of Memory, but
okay, yeah, I guess.
that's
But I mean,
a
like,
joke.
yeah. There's mentions of like, and I know I've sort of talked to you about this already, but this Mr. H, this fallen angel,
Mm-hmm.
that is described as a guy who is 20 people at once.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that. Where did it say that? And is it in the
So
Super
there
Reports?
are some thought bubbles that pop up. I think I sent you a link the other day.
Oh, okay.
The people that have these thoughts.
That's right. Yeah.
Actually, I'm really glad I sent it to you now, because now I'm going to go ahead and click on it myself and hopefully bring it up for the kids to see. Thought fragments, that's the one.
I guess to me, I understood that as like the organization of
The
the
organization.
cats. Yeah. Well, what's interesting too, I think,
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a tangent, but did you ever watch? You watched the opening sequence of The World Ends with You, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they have like there's this one scene where like I think it's the conductor where his glasses are like on the top and the bottom screen, and then in the reflection you see all these people in hoods, which I don't think we ever see in the actual game.
Don't know the
But my
Reapers?
understanding was those were the Reapers, right?
Yeah, I guess I'll pull it up again now to see what you're talking about, but I would assume they're the Reapers. Who else do we see in hoods?
Right, but
Um.
they look really similar to Organization 13 hoods.
I mean, sure. Like, I obviously get like scene vibes out of
Right.
Uzuki. What's her name? And the sort of like the lazy kind of Demixy vibe from Carrier a little bit. Like, he's like, I'm just happy to be
Can't
here.
be bothered.
Can't really be bothered.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get the sort of vibes all over the place. Like, obviously, like the Reno from FF7 to Axel is like famously said it like meant to be the same character, just transplanted into a different medium. So maybe Nomura only knows how to write like two different kinds of women characters, and he just like
Oh no.
yeah. So I guess this anime's coming out, right? And there are talks that the final episode, assuming it was going to be like, I forget, someone did the math, but it was like, okay, if you get like 1 week every X amount of episodes, then the final episode would land pretty much right on Tokyo Game Show. And
Oh.
what a perfect time to tease a sequel than like at the end of the anime. And if the end of the anime catches up for, you know, the Another Day content, which I guess if you guys haven't played the Switch version, there is an exclusive chapter only in the Switch version called A New Day, in which it
A New Day?
Yeah, A New Day. Yeah, so Another Day is the one that was in the DS, and A New Day is
So the 3-chapter one?
the 3-chapter one. Yeah, so there's 3 new days of the New Day, 3 new, I guess, chapters of it, and maybe it's all the same day. I don't know. Like it doesn't define a day the way it did in the regular game, like the main game. It didn't like go because every character acknowledges every single day that like, I guess we fell asleep,
Right.
we woke up. I guess that's another one of my points. It's very dream drop distance in the way that I guess people just like the day's over and they just fall asleep, right? Like
Yeah.
Neku half the time is like, oh shit, we fell asleep again. Oh god, it's another day already. Like same as Riku and Sora in Dream Drop Distance, like they will just conk and wake up
Very true.
the next place they're supposed to. And again, I don't know what I'm doing with these connections, but I'm like gathering them all together. I think I will do a video where I'm just like, here are all the little connections I found. Do something with them. Here they are. Like they're here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's part of the reason I wanted to talk to you about them, just to get them out of my head and put them on like a format so other people can either go, you're crazy, or can go, maybe there's something to that. I wouldn't mind hearing all of them, because I will definitely miss some. Like I've got, like, I'll show the camera. I just like notes and 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 notes. And like I'm gonna miss some, and because just hidden there's the good stuff hidden amongst the, I guess, less important stuff. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think I looked through most of it. Like, I would hit the speech bubbles whenever I was, like, going through the areas, but
Yeah.
I definitely missed some very big ones that you're about to talk about.
which, like, the Master of Masters names potentially himself and 6 others after the 7 deadly sins, right?
Yeah.
Because it's well, okay.
Were
like
you including somebody else, or I guess maybe 8, but that's my interpretation.
Oh, go on, go. You please. What are you talking about?
Oh well, so like so you have like Lucio, Ava, like all those characters are the names of what you were saying, the 6 deadly sins, and then you have Superbia, which is engraved on the box.
On the box,
right?
Yeah.
The Masters, so it's kind of like, oh, maybe his name's that. And
Right.
then we have Vanitas, which is also, there used to be 8 deadly sins
Right.
instead of 7,
Right.
and Vanity was the other one.
Right.
And so now the fact that they've have
Darkness
8,
existing in that. Yeah. Go
Yeah.
on. Sorry. Yeah.
it's like, that's interesting.
I think
Yeah,
I've
it's
always
very-
like, because the very, very, very first line that he speaks in that is, and that makes you the indisposable number 7. So like he already counts himself among.
Well, see, that's also interesting. Is like he's like, he what's that? I feel like when I watch that scene over again, he's saying I count, right? It's not saying, oh yeah, I'm the 7th one, or I'm like the first one, right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of wondering if,
It's saying don't forget me.
yeah, like don't forget me, but hey, maybe I'm not actually part of this group, and maybe not that Vanitas would be like billions of years later or whatever, or millennia, but it's, I don't know. I kind of don't know if I don't know if I think he's part of that group, because I feel like he's more of like an outsider, like controlling everything. So he wouldn't be
Tommaso.
part of the 7 and the 13. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I have to watch the scene again to get more context.
I mean, like, for me, because obviously this is like pre-Kingdom Hearts 3 that this all comes out. To me, it was like they are asking who the traitor is the entire time. Who's the traitor? Who's the traitor? Who's the traitor? But they're only asking about the 6. But the first line is, I'm one of the 7. It's not 6, it's 7. Don't forget, I count. I'm one of the 7.
Right.
You should be considering is like, who's this traitor here? And everyone just sort of goes, well, it can't be him. He's the master. Like, he wouldn't do anything bad to us.
Right.
Blah, 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 blah. And they don't even, somehow none of them consider for a second that he's not on the up and up.
But
Like,
you wouldn't, right? Like,
I
your
suppose.
master who taught you everything. It's
Like
like,
yeah.
well, he's. I
That's-
think kind of like with Terra and Xehanort. Like,
Exactly, yeah.
Terra would never assume that Xehanort would be evil, but then he is. Well, not evil, but you know.
He does. I think he qualifies evil. I think from most lenses.
Yeah. I think
a
with
lot of bad people thought they were doing the right
there's
thing.
somebody who I was talking to some, but maybe it's you. But
disappearing.
all the Birth by Sleep parallels of the reports talking about his intentions never seem to border evil. Like, he does a lot of bad things, obviously, but
Xehanort.
it's all with good intentions. Yeah. Well, not good intention, but like a better world. So like in his eyes, a better intention.
In his eyes, yeah. Like, but I don't know. I wonder how many dictators thought they weren't trying to create a better. I don't know.
True.
I don't know. I
Very
don't know.
true.
I don't know.
No, that's a very good argument. for
Yeah.
sure.
No, I will put that video up one day where it's like, I guess Dark Robe will kind of fill us more in on this, but the idea that he ultimately thinks he's doing the right thing because left to its own devices, the world would destroy itself. And he's like, well, it's better. It's not good, but it's better that I rule it with the power of darkness than let it fall to complete chaos and ruin. Like, it's better. Like, he didn't say it's ideal. Yes, I should. But it's like, it's better that I rule it with darkness. Is his logic to that. And then obviously, like, he finds out, oh, hey, I can just reset it back to neutral. Anyway, that's Xehanort. Come on. This is the World of Sorry. Here, too. A completely separate franchise.
I keep
that will never
derailing
cross
us.
over. No, it's good. I like it. No, it's good.
Before we, or do you have a
Please,
thought
no,
to keep
go.
on? There were 2 things that I wanted to touch on that you mentioned quite a bit ago. Where is it? Well, so the first one that I have up right now, you mentioned that they died, right? The world ends with you people in.
Well, something bad happened to him. We don't know what, but
Okay. Well, so in Dream Drop Distance, why is my
oh wait, sorry. Did you mean in Dream Drop or did you mean in the World Ends with You?
Both.
They definitely die.
So,
in
yeah.
The World Ends with You.
Okay. Yes, but actually no. Wait, at what point? I guess.
Before the beginning of the game. Another day,
Okay.
a new day, no idea. But before the beginning of the game, yes.
So in the secret reports of The World Ends With You in Shiki Day 7, it says, a little bit down, it says, this may sound odd, but one may also choose to be reincarnated. Well, the word reincarnation is not quite accurate, for the humans of the underground are not truly dead. So they're actually not dead in The World Ends With You.
Right.
Whereas in Dream Drop Distance, he says, in their world, Joshua, he says, in their world, something happened that brought their existence to an end. So I think, in my eyes, right, they're in The World Ends With You, they're not dead yet, but then something happens, and then Dream Drop Distance happens. So I think, in my headcanon, I guess, The World Ends With You happens first, and then Dream Drop Distance, as in like sequential, not like parallel worlds. Because I was thinking, these people aren't the same people, because Rhyme is still alive in Dream Drop Distance, whereas in...
But she is at the end of the game too.
Right, yeah. Exactly. And which is why I'm saying... Because there's a scene at the end of... is it the first game? Because isn't there like another week in The World Ends With You at the end of the third week? Or am I misremembering that?
Maybe. There's the 3 days of a new day and 1 day of another day. If that confuses you even more.
Well, I thought at the end of... The World Ends With You... Let me just look it up. And I'm sorry. I thought... Because there's the secret. There's like the new day, right? And then it's like 7 new days, right?
At the end of that, yeah.
And at the end, but before that, I feel like I thought they said, because when they like run up to each other at the end, they're like all reminiscing. I thought they said, yeah, the last 7 days were more difficult, or something. Like I thought they had said something, and my thinking was, oh, that's when they go to Dream Drop Distance. But maybe I'm just Neku, I thought, said that. I could be totally wrong, and maybe I'm misremembering this whole thing in my theory.
Okay, so you're saying that in Another Day, at the beginning of it, he's talking about how the last 7 days are off.
In the last day of Beats days.
I sound a little
but I think I'm wrong in that. Well, I think what I was trying to say is I used to think that that's when the whole, like, everybody went to Dream Drop Distance and then they came back. But I think this happens way out. Like, I think this happens when Shinjuku gets destroyed. And they're talking about how, like, oh, well, this might not be good for Shibuya. And then whoever that girl is, and during the next 7 days, I think that's when she destroys Shibuya. And I think that's when Joshua picks up their dreams or whatever and shoots off to Traverse Town. But that's all speculative. I don't really have any basis for that.
Because so I guess spoilers for anyone that hasn't seen.
I thought we were in spoiler section.
No. I'm just so like I guess people are jumping around. I never know like if people are gonna watch it completely in order on YouTube or they're gonna jump around. But like,
Sure.
So the vision that Neku has is like he's standing on the ground, looking up at the buildings. Like it's the Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building is on his left. It's the building, I guess if you're looking on screen right now, the one just there, basically the one sort of jutting up at that angle there with what used to be like 2 spires on it. That building's getting destroyed, and that's in Shinjuku, which is itself presumably a different underground. And the vision is like from the ground looking up with like red in her eyes. So I'm assuming this is our mystery hype-chan, whatever her name is, looking up and seeing that.
Seeing the different, the underground or whatever. Or the higher planes, I guess. Is that what you're saying?
Okay, do you know the cutscene where like the Reaper symbol appears in the sky and everything sort of just starts turning to dust?
Yeah.
Everything? So I'm saying it's like literally from her perspective on the ground, because you can see she has like reddish eyes later on.
Mm-hmm.
I was literally thinking like that's her witnessing it. That's her going. Like she literally saw Shinjuku blow up from on the ground, and then sort of
Oh,
stumbled out and walked away.
I kind of assumed she was the one that caused it.
It's possible. Like it's possible she was the harbinger that
Right.
brought this on. But I think, again, like we ever see is like one shot on the ground, right, and then she walks away.
Yeah. Well, there's two scenes of her, right? Am I wrong?
We get like tiny little flashes of a couple times, but
Okay.
do we see a side on view? I can't remember.
I think we see, because there's the one where she like slumps forward, right? And then there's I guess it's not a scene, but it's like the next 7 days, and then she's like plastered on it or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but that might be the same scene.
I sort of thought that like what was happening is that while Neku was going through his experience in A New Day, that was also happening to her at the same time. So an inversion happens in Shinjuku, and
But weren't they saying that Neku was seeing that from the future?
well, Neku was able to see it before it happened. I think, because then it happens for
Right.
real, right? Then we see the scenes happening like for real, because he's like, oh, my vision, whatever. Like he sees Rhyme getting chomped again before she actually does.
Right.
And it's like, oh, this must be a vision as well. This must be.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I found what I was talking about.
Mm-hmm. Is it? I've got A New Day open up right now. Which is it in there or somewhere else?
I'm sending you a link to it. If that's good. I have a timestamp. It's at the very end of the game. And Neku wakes up. Like, he does the whole sequence happens again. He's like, he wakes up and he's like, what the hell? And then it does 7 days later. And then I think that's when they meet up.
But in A New Day or in the regular game?
The regular game, sorry. Yeah. And he's like, what the hell? Why am I still here? I don't think he says why am I still here, but in my interpretation, that would be the 4th week that he's in the underground.
Yeah, but he wakes up for real, right? Like people can see him this time, can't they? Or am I crazy?
My interpretation, and this is obviously, it doesn't, I don't know. It looks like people are walking through him again, because with the whole like scenes, like it's pretty identical to the first like 3 that we've seen, right?
Yeah. But I think it's like I don't know. I guess maybe you're right, but I always read it as like a gotcha that he thinks it's like Groundhog Day. He thinks like, oh shit, I'm asleep again.
And it's actually not.
But he's
I
not,
guess my
yeah.
thinking is, why would they do this 7 days later then?
But just to mess with you, just to be like, it's been another week, but it's 7 days later. They're all out, and they can all meet up in real life again.
I guess there is a scene where they're like, oh yeah, we messaged you or something, like you told us to meet us here in 7 days. Is that what it was?
I don't know.
Yeah. Later, and he said getting together first time in a week. So I guess, yeah, I think you're right. I think I misinterpreted that. My bad. Cut all that out.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty downer ending if they're like, yeah, no, they're all still dead, including Rhyme. Because like, yeah, how would Rhyme come back? Would she be resurrected to just?
I was thinking that 7 day gap is another underground game where we don't know what happens, and that's how like Rhyme gets back. But
yeah,
no, I think after he makes a decision not to shoot Joshua was like, okay, and he brings everybody back. Kind of
yeah, that's yeah. He's like, okay, I'm not going to destroy Shibuya. Basically, I'm gonna
right.
Like as part of the reward, I'll bring everyone back to life. Because I mean, he killed Neku in the first place. Do we ever know? We don't know literally how Shiki died, but we just know that she like got hella sad after the fight with Eri, and then maybe we do. I forget. It's been a while since I looked up that sad cutscene, but
Doesn't she kill herself? Am I wrong in that? I thought she...
I don't know. I didn't think so.
I don't remember. Well, I know that
I thought she
Rhyme
was
and
like,
Beat died together, right?
yeah, Ryan was trying to save her. Beat was trying to save her from that car.
Yeah. I guess my understanding of that, well, which might not be right, my understanding of the final cutscene, but I always thought that she just went and,
Oof.
yeah.
Yeah, because they made up at the very end. I guess with A New Day, it's like, I don't know when that takes place, because it's not like we have a defined time frame, right? Of like,
That doesn't happen though does that happen in the underground? I thought that was like a weird
it's in the real ground, yeah, because they say that noise shows
Yeah.
up in the real ground. Like that's what they're discussing on the top of the roof later on.
Right. And like the whole, because yeah, they get wrapped up into this quote unquote world, but it's actually noise or something like that.
Yeah, it's basically like a gigantic
It's weird.
Shibuya-sized noise. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is pretty crazy. But no, I guess like, in the logic of it's just noise, you can do whatever you want with it, and I guess that's sort of like the whole idea behind it being like, it's so clever of like it's about like this, the mental fog is the noise, right? Like you've got your own thoughts that can be hounded by
Their negativity, I think,
Yeah.
right? Like which is kind of circling back to another point I wanted to make, that I think they're unversed.
yeah,
Or not. They aren't quote unquote, like they aren't 1-1, but I think they do
very
resemble that a
similar
lot.
to him. God, yeah, hell yeah. It's
Especially
all-
with the
all
designs.
floods, yeah, look just like him.
Yeah. Very interesting. And I think the parallels with the symbol of the inverse, okay, I guess not the, like not 1-to-1 symbol. I think it is pretty similar. The symbol on the Master of Masters coats with the zipper and how they're all missing from the new organization. Well, I guess they retroactively put them back in. I don't remember. But yeah, there's like the whole zipper that has the inverse symbol on it. And they come from the Master of Masters, and it's like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. So at the end of another day, it's like, so they have the conversation on the roof. It's like Mr. H and Josh sort of talk about what happened, and the Coco girl is like present to this conversation somehow. Like she's like understanding what is being said up here, even though she's like just been shot, and is like, so Josh must be responsible for Neko's visions. I mean, there's teasers. It's so meta as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the idea is that like Shinjuku got completely erased, but she's the only survivor. Some crazy cats headed our way. Yeah, dude, I'm 100%. Yeah, so that's basically
so
it.
she
That
is the
quote there
survivor.
of like, there's no telling what will become of Shibuya, but I suppose that's their problem now, not ours. I assume that they're talking about is like the 4 kids, but given how meta the conversation is
it like our problem?
it's like our problem. Exactly, yeah.
Uh.
Yeah, like us as the player, or I mean, like if this Joshua is like potentially even the same one from Dream Drop Distance, like is it Sora and Riku's problem now? Like whose problem is it? Because if you just
Right.
if in the same sentence he then goes, Neku, I don't give a shit about him anymore, that leads me to believe that like, well then it's not Neku's problem, right? Like he served his purpose anymore, but I don't need him anymore. How can it be Neku? Is it still Neku's? Like, if he's going, it's their problem, and then Mr. H is like, oh, what about Neku? Then the there he's talking about isn't Neku, right? Like, if H is bringing Neku up later in the conversation,
Right.
then the there he's talking about isn't Neku, right? But I suppose that's their problem now, not ours. I don't know. I
Wonder-
that could be just me reading into it with wishful thinking.
Well, Yeah, right. Because is he the composer still then at this? Did he
He's not dead.
relinquish that? Well, because he shouldn't be hanging out with Mr. H, right? Because if Mr. H is a fallen angel, Joshua should be hunting him down. Right? Wasn't that the whole thing with...
I mean,
But I guess he
was doing it to serve the purpose of saving Shibuya, basically. Like, he was doing it to...
I can't remember when he becomes one, I guess.
It's early on, because, like, he sets up... He lets Minamoto basically revive himself in week 3, before week 3. Like, obviously, he sets that sigil up really early on.
Right.
And he does something else before that, but I forget what it is. What the hell is it? He does something like way before that makes him a fallen angel. Like, he's writing about the fallen angel in the reports, like, way early on. And
Yeah, Joshua Day 2.
Right.
And the crime revealing the secrets of the taboo noise refinery to the game master, yeah, that guy.
I'm probably saying the name wrong as well. But I thought it was something even before that. I forget. But yeah, he basically does that to keep him in the game, I think. And was there something else?
I think that was it.
Okay.
But it's really interesting that he would... Well, I guess it's to us, like the player, because we get these reports earlier than... Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you only get them when you have beaten the game once, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really get the Coco girl. Like, she's, like, weirdly omnipresent to those conversations. Like, her in the Shibuya River is, like, speak for yourself, nerd, is talking to Joshua, even though they're having their own conversation. And she's somehow able to watch it. It's literally talking about, like, how Neku needs to be involved in it. And I guess, like...
Yeah.
I guess his next partner is going to be Minamoto. I need to say that right, because I'm definitely saying that wrong. Those Greens are so thirsty for a fight, then they can, like, come here and get wrecked like the noobs they are. It's like, that's us kids. That's how they talk. Yeah, so then she goes ahead and revives him. Revives our boy. But that's the idea, right? You can theoretically revive anyone as long as they haven't been erased by noise. Like, if they've been erased by noise, then they're gone. But... Yeah, so a new day begins, a new game begins. Like, that coming out in 2018, that's not just, like, an accident. There's obviously a plans for a sequel, or whether it's, like, a continuation of the anime, whatever it is, but... And the implication, I guess, is that she's going to come to Shinjuku now? Shibuya now? Like, if it's... Like, she's literally standing in Shibuya.
Yeah, under the 104 building, right?
Yeah. Alright, so I guess,
the weird thing is... Yeah.
No, go. I'll find the quote. Go.
I guess... I thought she was more of, like, a... Because she has, like, the weird... She has the doll... Mr. Mew, and then she has the headphones.
The headphones
so it's
from Neku, she's like a combination of the two characters in a way.
And she has Plaid, which is like a whole Kingdom Hearts 3 staple, right?
Exactly, yeah. Yes.
Or a Yozora staple, I guess, more so, which is in Shibuya. It's like,
yeah.
What does this mean?
Especially that her eyes have been like tainted with red.
Yeah, they like had that weird glow before when she's walking out, which is what I thought. That's what made me think she was the... And I still kind of do think she's the one that sets it off, even though they think she's a survivor.
I mean, it's possible. Like, they could be joking when they're like, oh, how fortunate she survived. Like, they're aware of her. It's not just like, oh, one girl survived. They're like, no, they're aware of her before that happens. What do they say about her? Right in her own backyard. And then there's that girl. She must be the one responsible for Neku's visions. Yeah. Doing those teasers. That's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, like her... I think she has to... Because, like, her eyes had the same, like, weird red tinge that, like, the player symbol has, or whatever they call it. the
Play
the
a symbol.
the game's like symbol, I guess. I don't know,
The skull?
skull. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Has like that weird like reddish. I don't know. Who knows?
I've lost it now. I had it at one point, but like the vision, like because the very first time you see the city being destroyed, it's I'm positive it's looking through her eyes, only because at the very very end, like her eyes look just like that. Like there's the dead set red ring around the irises, but then it sort of fades out to become more yellowish, which looks just like it does from
Yellow.
again. I think her point of view.
Where at what part?
It's the very first time you see the vision. Like I had it,
Okay.
I had it earlier, but I've lost it now. Of
Well, that seems also
Shinjuku
the
being
very
destroyed.
end, I think, maybe.
It's again, but you don't have to. You don't. It's not through the vision anymore. It's actually happening. So you don't have that
Okay.
like eye symbol around it.
Right.
I know it's around here. Yep, there. Yep, there it was.
Yeah, I see
Oh,
it.
beautiful,
It's at
got
the
it.
very beginning of the episode.
It's at the very beginning. Yeah. Can you see what I mean? How like it's a ring
Yeah,
around, right?
I see. Yeah, that's
And
definitely.
in the dead center, it's the red that goes out to the yellow, which is exactly how it is for her eyes.
Ah, okay.
So I'm
I think I agree
almost
with that.
positive she's watching it. Now, whether she's also causing it because it's a red skull, yeah, that could very well be the case. Okay, so
All that's left in the world is me. I
which
think that kind of goes more in line with what you're saying. Like each ground is its own world.
yes, yeah, I mean, because it sounds like she's the only survivor. Like the entire friggin' real Shinjuku blows up.
Yeah.
I did want to tie that to the the Verum Rex trailer, and I guess I sort of talked about it on my thing, but let me see if I can find it now. But basically, there is a parallel world in which it seems like Shibuya blows up, like a gigantic
Mhm.
laser is shot into the sky, and
Yeah.
it seems to be, I don't know if erase is the right word, but I mean, like, how does it happen here? Like, the symbol glows and a shockwave comes out, and then everything just crumbles into dust, right?
Right.
How quickly do you reckon I can find it? I don't have the. Okay, so this is Shibuya right here. So I've talked about it in my video, sort of discussing where the Master Masters are standing. I guess it's one of the last videos I published. But essentially, the Verum Rex trailer depicts Shibuya being destroyed, and I guess the one really good shot of it is, I guess I'll sort of let the trailer play out a little bit. But they're standing right now at the base of, it's funnily enough called the Hikarie building. It's like a French way of saying Hikari, like light. And you can see as that laser appears, like literally all the buildings are turning to dust. Just like,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like the way they were. There's a big symbol in the sky forming, like there's some weird text floating around it, whatever. But, yeah, and all the buildings surrounding it are being destroyed. And I don't know, like to me that's like, again, this is practically just a concept trailer at this point, but obviously Yozora is seemingly real, or at least an effective force in the Kingdom Hearts universe. So like,
This is the trailer, right?
It's the trailer for
Or
Verum
do you
Rex,
think this
yeah.
is happening in real life as well?
I mean, like, if you were going to make a trailer for Kingdom Hearts, would the events in that not be happening to Sora as well? Like, just because someone cut him up and made them more fast and flashy, like, if you cut up okay, like any Kingdom Hearts trailer, if you cut up all the events that happen in it, well, if you just play a trailer,
Or in the beginning?
I mean, like, sure, yeah, sure, that one too, like the one that plays at the beginning of KH3, like any Kingdom Hearts trailer, it's still depicting what's happening in the game, right? Like, what actually happened to Sora.
Right.
Like, so I don't see why this at some point either is going to happen to Yozora or more likely has already happened to Yozora, is kind of what the impression that I get. Like, I figure if that is his girl, I don't know, just the way that like the laser is emanating out of her and she seems to almost be the source of it. I wonder if, because what's so coy is that she's had everything taken from her, everything's stripped away, there's nothing left. So I don't know if like they need her, like her body holds some power, like she's a princess or whatever, and she somehow has the power to open up this big purple laser or whatever it is, and do
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
it is. I mean, maybe she's fighting against it because she's fighting against a blue thing. So maybe it's like she's trying to stop evil blue laser with her healing pink laser, whatever. I don't know.
I didn't realize there was two separate lasers.
Well, it's a giant blue symbol in the sky, and she's firing a pink laser. Like the laser is definitely coming out of her. I can say that much with certainty at least. But
Okay.
by the end, see, VLC has a frame forward button, doesn't have a frame back button, and I'll never not be sad about that. Oh, I don't think it does. I mean, it should because it's theoretically
It
the same
should.
process, right? Like
Yeah. Maybe you'll like shift whatever frame forward button is.
maybe.
No, but I wanted to also point out too that that symbol in the sky could also be reminiscent of the world ends with you red symbol.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
The skull, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. That's sort of what I was getting at. Like, is it? Because I'm trying to draw these parallels, right? Like, it's not like it has to be exactly the same every single time, but it's like there are these two, what seem to me to be like these themes that are reoccurring in both worlds and or both iterations, and especially given the two have crossed over and very well could cross over in the future. I'm sort of trying to connect the dots here and go, okay, well, like, what's trying to be said here? Is there anything trying to be said, or am I just crazy? Like,
No, there's definitely like the fact that they're both disappearing as well. Like there's disappearing, the sky is all weird, and then the symbol in the sky, it's like that's way more than just a coincidence.
like
To me.
if Josh was to look at this particular parallel world, would they see like, oh, a Shibuya blew up? Like, that's weird.
Oh wait, so was it not Shinjuku? Is it Shibuya that they're in?
Shibuya.
That
They're in
gets
Shibuya
wrecked?
right now. In Verum Rex, they're in Shibuya. Yeah, you can see. I don't know.
And we
if
know
the shot.
that the world ends with you. That Joshua says Shibuya gets destroyed, right?
I don't think so. I don't know. I know you've told me that before, but I couldn't find that.
Oh, really? Am I just
Yeah.
crazy? Oh, I guess maybe what I was interpreting is that let me look at the new day. Is that if Joshua is bringing Neku and all them to Traverse Town, that would be when their world gets destroyed. But at the same time, Joshua's saying he doesn't care about them, so maybe these are two separate instances.
That's the thing. I mean, for all we know, like, yeah, the Neku from KH3D is yet another parallel Neku that, you know, maybe he lost his game or whatever, right? But like Josh felt sorry for him. Like that particular Josh felt sorry for that particular Neku and said, oh, okay, like, well, I'll bring you here to Traverse Town until you can recover, whatever. Because, yeah, it seems like there are all infinite parallel universes in which they don't care about any of this stuff. Now they only care about playing Tinpin, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you could extrapolate that forever and say, yeah, it's not necessarily the particular Neku that we see, the prime one, if you will, from The World Ends With You. That was in 3D. It very well could be, but it doesn't have to be. And
Right.
part of
we
me
still
wants
know
it
that
to
he's
be
an angel in this world.
in the 3D world. Yeah,
He sprouts the wings or whatever.
right.
But he could be more of like on Mr. H's plane, because he could have just changed his form and flown away instead of just sprouting wings. Do we ever see him sprout wings in The World Ends With You?
The like silhouette of the more true
Right.
looking version of him flies away. I don't think he even needs to sprout wings. He just takes off. But H
Yeah.
spreads his angel wings and flies after him.
Yeah.
But yeah, the screenshot, you won't be able to see it, sorry man, but like there's a shot
Okay.
of above Shibuya, and you can sort of see, you can see it. The 104 building is actually visible down the bottom here. Like, my mouse isn't visible, damn. But it's like right here where the pointer is. You can see I've got the timer. Literally where the timer is right there, that's the 104 building. So it's definitely Shibuya that's getting like erased right now. But the thing is that like in 10 seconds, yeah, that symbol's weird. It's like a triangle up in the sky with then 3 little like bits jutting out of it. It's I guess I'll show it to the good folks at home one more time.
Yeah.
But yeah, like her laser seems to be like burrowing into a parallel world or something. which seems to have like no consequences when she gets there. So either they all go back in time, or because like reality is like bending here. It's also strange.
Right.
It sort of reminded me of, in in Kingdom Hearts 3D, you're climbing up the very, very end of the world. And the world ends with you. You're playing as Sora. You're climbing up the world ends with the world that never was.
I do that all the time.
As you climb up the buildings more and more and more, they literally begin to twist and curve and like warp.
Right.
And I don't know. It reminded me of this. Like, it's almost as if like there was an outside force, kind of like yanking on them, and because they're all even in KH2, they're all like buildings. It's a theoretically real city that's inhabited by people. There's like a truck and stuff around there, and it's not like even when like Xemnas is on the ground and like keeps flinging you up miles into the air, like it still looks like a real enough place from what you can see from memory.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I thought it was strange that obviously like 3D is in a weird situation anyway because it's dreams. But yeah, I did think that was weird that the 3D buildings were all warped.
Yeah, it's weird because I guess if we're on the same page that Traverse Town is in the Sleeping Worlds,
yeah,
then how would Neku and like how would they all travel to there unless Sleeping Worlds are on a different plane, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean, yeah, if you
Josh
apply,
was able to alter his vibe to access it, kind of thing.
Right, yeah, if you apply the world into the logic to it, like, would all the worlds... I mean, even, like, the realm of light and the realm of darkness, that's what they are, right? That they're on planes. Like, they're practically right next to each other. But they're basically, like, separated by this indivisible border that... The way I always understood it was, like, if you stack 3, like, plates on top of each other and sort of, like... No, it's not quite like that. It's like a cake, almost. Like, a multi-layered cake that has like 3 predominantly main layers that have like a thickness to them, and like each of the like the further down you go, I guess the more you get to like the neutral zone in the dead center of it, and then like you go any further south from there and you're in the realm of darkness, and any further north and you're in the realm of light, and the closer a world is in the realm of light itself, but a world could be closer to the realm of darkness or further away, and that would be like how influenced it was by the darkness, what have you. Yeah, but so like could like, okay, so let's say like Cinderella's world in the end of Birth by Sleep is like taken by the darkness, right? Like you literally see it go bloop and goes like, I think like a hole of light like opens up and just like blah, just like a bunch of darkness like shoots straight in, right? And the idea is that that's the
Wait,
world
we
being
see
captured.
that?
Yeah, at the very, very end of no, it's the Finamax exclusive stuff from memory. God, do I have that captured? Probably not.
I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
No? Yeah, it's Birth by Sleep, a Finamax exclusive, I'm pretty sure. I think it's the very, very beginning of that stuff. Aqua's walking along where she looks... Yeah, it should be the very start of the BBS FM stuff.
It doesn't pop in though, does it?
Pretty sure like you see a little like circle of light open up in what looks like her ceiling, and then a bunch of darkness just goes blah and shoots straight in.
I definitely missed that.
Well, yeah, if you only played Finamax once, it would. I mean, maybe you didn't. I don't know. Maybe you didn't remember it as much, but I think I played it like 3 or 4 times now. No, 3 times. Yeah, PSP, PS3, PS4. Anyway, what I'm getting at is like do the worlds exist? Like even as the world itself moves from like the realm of light to the realm of darkness, like it literally falls down a plane into the realm of darkness, but it's still like spatially, except for like let's say the Y coordinate, it's still roughly in the same place. It's just like sunk straight down into the, and yeah, to restore it, you basically have to like just lift it back up again and put it up in a higher plane.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought how that works.
Like I guess like if a world falls to sleep, like if Traverse Town then falls to sleep, is that what's happening as well? Like it's moved out of the realm of light, out of that plane, out of that frequency, whatever the world is with the logic you want to apply to it, and dropped down drop this vibe down, right? Because like beings of darkness seem to have no problem in the realm of light, right?
Right. They can
But
bounce back.
beings of light seem to have a pretty hard time.
We don't ever see Emblem Heartless in the realm of dark, as opposed. Okay, not in Kingdom Hearts Union Cross at least, but
Throw
in
it in the bin, throw it away.
in like the normal, like the what am I trying to say? In Birth by Sleep onwards, I guess. In the Realm of Darkness, we never see Emblem Heartless. We only see pure Heartless.
Yeah, which makes sense because like the emblem ones would have to like literally travel from the realm of light into the realm of darkness to get there. Whereas the pure blood ones they're just creatures that live there. Like it's not
right.
Yeah. Which, yeah, like same as like the noise plane, if you will, like in the world ends with you, like this just the noise just inhabit it. Like humans don't go there, angels don't go there. It's just where noise just hang out.
Right.
But noise can seemingly travel into the other two planes, sort of not at will, but they can sort of they have the ability to do that relatively easily, and are sort of drawn there.
Are they ever? So yeah, are they? I can't remember. Did they just pull us into the noise plane, or do they actually come to the noise or come to the underground?
Well, both. I think whenever we like attack them, we go to their plane.
Okay.
Or maybe both, because again, like the DS version was like you were going to two separate planes. I'm pretty sure. Like I think it's canon that you were going to two separate planes. Like your character and your partner were doing that. But then you were from the underground. You're just attacked by like taboo noise, like just completely out of the blue. So I think they must have an ability, and same with like Reapers and stuff as well. Like random people are just getting bipped. So I'm fairly certain that they can also come to the underground, whenever they choose to as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like because whenever we scan, right, we can like read other humans' thoughts, or we can challenge a noise directly. Like but because the pact is formed, they can't do anything to us until we literally challenge them, or a Reaper sets them on a human or on a player. But yeah, that's why that's taboo noise are weird, isn't it? They can violate that pact agreement and just attack whoever they want to. I don't even see, but this is the sigil that's up in the sky right now, and I guess that's like maybe the parallel that I'm trying to draw between that and the skull that's destroying Shinjuku.
Yeah,
I don't know, like the fact that is content released in 2018, right? Versus Kingdom Hearts 3 containing this released at the very, very start of 2019. Like they would have been in development at a similar time.
Yeah.
Like it's not like they're released a decade apart and there's no connection whatsoever. It's like, well, there's something there. Like the fact that Joshua was talking about like there's a whole bunch of people like weirdos coming to Shibuya soon, and then Sora shows up like from our point of view a couple months later. Zora's sitting on the roof in Shibuya that was like a parallel version of it was just blown up. Like there's all this like
too many coincidences.
Right. Yeah, especially. And again, like the fact that there's an anime coming out and Tokyo Game Show like potentially falls right after that finishes. And that could be way off. That was like initially, I mean, who knows
I guess before
how
the
valid
pandemic.
that is.
Yeah.
But
or was it? I guess it was released during the pandemic.
In fact, we've probably already passed that now. Yeah, I think the pandemic ruined that timeline anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I can see there being links for sure.
Right.
And again, I've definitely forgotten some, but go on.
Oh yeah. Were we talking about links or whatever coincidences and the world ends with you and with Yozora?
Sure.
You're probably gonna mention this at some point, but the whole Shiki not looking like herself.
Of course, yeah.
Parallel to Yozora being like, this is not what it looked like. It's like, what the heck?
That's a direct
when I
line.
saw that, I like literally like my mouth dropped and I was like, what's happening right now?
A direct line, yeah. That Yozora says, that Shiki says as well. Yeah, I think I tweeted about it, but yeah, just again like the idea of like, yeah, snatching bodies that don't belong to you, There was the
Well,
dropping
at this-
part. There was the Riku quote. I guess I haven't talked about it yet publicly, but like that Riku quote about
In Kingdom Hearts
how-
1?
No, the one I sent to you the other day. How there's like a storm coming, Sora, and you know when we travel through portals.
Yes.
I'll pull it up. I'll pull it up. Hang on, give me one. So yeah, there was these gates that connect worlds. Maybe when we pass through them, we're challenged and changed. I should really slow down my reading. And it's not over. There are more trials ahead we have to overcome.
Ah! Just like, what? Okay, my bad.
We'll be ready, Sora.
Just
Yeah,
that
I don't
line
know.
is
Like I read that, and I was
so-
like, what? What? Like, I don't know. Just yeah, like literally passing to parallel worlds and becoming changed somehow. That's like, and then facing trials. It's like Yuzora, Yuzora, Yuzora,
Yeah.
Yuzora, Yuzora, Yuzora.
It's
Yuzora.
like 100%.
There's
I
the
don't know how I
character-
can. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, please, no, go. Don't let me stop you.
I didn't have anything to add. It's crazy.
Where's the Joshua line? The Joshua line must be in the second visit. I'm pretty sure it is. The one that he says to Riku. You know what I mean?
I don't think I do. What was the line?
It's the one about heck. Sorry.
No,
Maybe
good.
this is the first visit. But the one where it's like you remind me of a friend of mine.
First visit, yeah.
It's first visit? Okay. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah. Okay. Every human being is a dreamer. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Yeah, every human being is a dreamer. I had a friend once who said he never dreamed of anything, but it turned out that his were the most powerful dreams of all. You sort of remind me of him. Okay. I literally have gone back through all the cutscenes. Neku never says anything about him not dreaming.
Right.
Rhyme,
'Cause that was
Rhyme's
Rhyme.
dreams were taken from her, but it's implied that they were extremely important to her, right? Like if they were her entry fee,
Mm-hmm.
then they would have had to have been extremely important to her. I don't know who else it could be. Like who else is he possibly referring to here? Like I would have thought that's a really obvious quote that like, oh, it's a character from the World Ends With You. I've literally poured back through all these cutscenes and like, they never mention that. And a guy that looks like Riku with extremely important dreams. Well, sorry, not looks like, but that. I don't know. I'm just
and Kingdom Hearts 3 kind of. Well, I guess at that point, yeah, Riku wouldn't really look like him, but he does remind him of him.
right. Yeah,
I
it's
can
not
see
like
that.
it's not like the exact same character design yet, which it will be like as soon as Riku gets back out of the dream, basically, and changes clothes, which will happen in like a week, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much the second he gets out of there, it's like, oh yeah, time to go start the PodCH 3, pretty much. Let's get changed into the new outfit and resemble Yuzora identically.
Oh, man.
So and yeah, obviously like he's the KH1 age Riku as well, so he's a couple years younger. But yeah, I like looking back at this through like Yuzora lens. It's like, who else could it possibly be, right?
Right. Like exactly.
And again, I scoured through. I was like, he has to be talking about someone else. I'm gonna make extremely sure before I'm like, it's Yuzora. Like, that's why I guess I want to put this out and be like, okay, are we crazy or is it someone else? Like, is it really obvious who it is? Because again, it says he, so it's not Rhyme. Even though Rhyme, obviously, her dreams were important to her because they were her entry fee. And it's like maybe Neku. That's like the only one I can get at. Is maybe Neku. But Neku never really dreams anyway. Like, what importance do they really hold? Like, I don't...
And he said he had a friend once who said he never dreamed of anything.
Yeah, that's not Neku. That's not like a defining character trait of Neku.
Right.
Like, oh, I never have any dreams.
Didn't say that.
No.
I could think the only friend we really see of Joshua's is Mr. H.
Mr. H.
And I think
That's
you had
exactly
mentioned that. But
yeah.
even then, he doesn't
never
even
comes
really
up.
talk about dreams.
Never.
Yeah.
Never. And it's like, who else? Like, the conductor? They don't really seem like the best of chums to me.
Yeah.
Like,
They're not really friends.
it's like, Beat? I don't think he's talking about Beat. Like, I don't know. Like, there are all these little, like, hooks here that... Yeah, I get the vibes that we're really like, going to push towards some grand, like, convergence of Square's properties at some point.
Yeah.
And I guess it's going to be the question of like, are they going to do the Cloud thing where it's like, okay, obviously Cloud exists in their own, in, you know, all the Final Fantasy characters exist in their own video games, but it seems like they are these separate iterations of them that exist out of canon and are basically just like glorified cameos, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Or are they going to go full blown? No, these are literally the same guys from the DS game, from the Switch game, come to continue their story in, you know.
Well, I think that's what they're doing, right? Because it's like with Cloud and Sephiroth and stuff like yeah, they are those characters and they still have that like animosity between them, but they're not like it's not like they're continuing their adventure from Final Fantasy VII or something, right?
Yeah, I don't
I've
think
never
the
played
Kingdom
the
Hearts
original,
2
but
Cloud has come out of the Micro Reactor. He just blew up
Right.
Micro Reactor 1. Like, I don't...
it doesn't. It just seems it's more of like, oh hey, this is a character in Kingdom Hearts.
Right.
Like it's I don't see as many parallels with The World Ends With You as I do, or with Cloud as I do with The World Ends With You crew.
Right. Yeah, it seems... For them, it seems much more literal. Like that they are literally the same characters in a way. And it's like...
Yeah.
A New Day is kind of cheating because... A New Day. A New Day is kind of cheating because, like, you have the old Shiki design. And they sort of hand wave that as like, oh, that's how you remember her. Which, again, that's Kingdom Hearts as well. Of, like, you see her how you remember her. Which is the whole, like... I mean, like, isn't that the direct, like, Roxas quote at the end of KH2? Like, you see me the way I remember you, whatever. Like, when he's talking through
Right.
Kari to Namine, whatever. But anyway, even though that isn't actually really Joshua or Shiki or whatever... But, I don't know. I could see them like hand waving a reason why Shiki's back in this current appearance. In the future anyway. Like maybe she has to pay another fee or whatever. I don't know.
You mean in Dream Drop Distance?
Right.
I think my understanding of that whole sequence is that they're dead, or they're not. I guess yeah, that they're not completely dead. Well, I think they are, but that's their dreams, and the dream, like in Kingdom Hearts, is like the dreams kind of recreate the story that they existed in, and so them following this plot line of, hey, these Reapers are trying to kill us, we need to complete the game.
Okay.
In that sequence, Shiki is that, like,
She's
that's her,
back in day
what she
one,
looks
week
like.
one, whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was my whole takeaway, because I think that's when we learned, because yeah, like, does the whole flashback to Yen Sid being like dreams continue kind of where, like, they continue like the cycle of a dream. So,
Right.
but and that kind of also like beat like points at young Xehanort kind of like accusatory, whatever. Like he's like
Yeah.
accusing him of being a Reaper, right?
Yes. Well, he
And
says,
it's like-
you ain't no Reaper or something like that. Like
Right.
I guess they thought he was a Reaper at one point.
Yeah, because they're making, well, because young Xehanort makes 2 deals with them, which is kind of Reaper-esque, I think. I can't remember. Do they ever make deals? I don't think they ever do. But it was more like a mission, I think, that Beat was thinking of. Like, oh, this is our mission to get out. But I don't think that was the case. It was more of like a shortcut. But I guess his interpretation of that was a mission. I think we did touch on it. But the parallel worlds or whatever of Joshua's world.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Terror in the Fabric of Time glossary entry in Kingdom Hearts 3 where it's talking about how like Sora bursts through this barrier between worlds kind of thing.
Yep.
Or I guess they create another parallel world and then jump through this Terror in the Fabric of Time.
Right.
I think it's very much like The World Ends With You thing, I guess. I first introduced in The World Ends With You, I guess.
Yeah. For me, the difference there is that like Kingdom Hearts seems to have like one consistent timeline that's happening. And, well, I mean, I might actually disagree with this, but I think what it's trying to say is that it has like one consistent timeline and that you can change things, but you have to like commit to taboos of nature to do it. It's like you have to literally avert fate in order to actually preserve these things from happening.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in The World Ends With You, it's like, yeah, anytime you make a choice, you effectively create 2 different timelines. One in which she chose apples, one in which she chose oranges, you know?
Right. yeah, like every choice in the world ends with you seems, at least from Mr. H's point of view, he says like, yeah, it creates this new world
Yeah.
or new branching timeline or something.
Yeah.
I think what that reminds me of, and I guess the thing is, in Kingdom Hearts, what you just said, the whole like you need to create an actual choice, like a taboo of Nate or whatever, to create a choice, which I think I agree with. And then when Sora's in Shibuya and we're fighting Yozora,
Yes.
like you either lose or you win, but
They're
it's
both
like,
same.
yeah, they both seem to happen kind of thing. So
Yeah,
it might just be
valid. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be of that world, but at the same time, we're in the final world, so I don't know if I think we're in Shibuya, but yeah, I think that definitely is like, oh yeah, that's definitely the world ends with you kind of interpretation of.
For me, that's like, I think the example I try and use is like, okay, you did not beat the Lingering Will on your first try. You didn't beat Yozora on your first try, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could see you beating a lot of other fights, but I cannot see almost anyone beating those guys on their first try, just because they attack so quickly and their tells are so short that once you know them and you can react to them accordingly, but you need to have been hit by them at least once to figure out what's happening. Like the attack where he like teleports at you 5 times and then on the 6th he lasers you. It's like you can't preemptively block that. You have to know what he's going to do before he does it.
Right.
And to me, that's like the ultimate example of video game logic, where it's like you literally could not have beaten this fight unless you already lost it.
Right.
So from a sense, like, I think a lot of video games do this, but not explicitly, where it's like Kingdom Hearts seems to be going even further with it, where it's like, okay, you're practically acknowledging that you canonically have lost to this guy, but you've effectively been resurrected in a way, or you've rewound time 30 seconds to attempt the fight again.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, the way that like the Kingdom Hearts 3, the vanilla ended, where you shoot a laser at Xehanort, Xehanort blocks it, shoots one right back at you, you lose, you see the death screen we've seen 100 times before. Well, I guess technically Sora may have never seen before, but we as the player sure have seen it a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like Donald and Goofy literally call out to you, bring you back, not bring you back to life, bring you back to before the laser broke your guard.
Yep.
So that's definitely time rewinding, right? Like definitely time is canonically rewound again. Even though he did the whole crazy crap before, he does it again. Or maybe it's Donald and Goofy do it again on his behalf. And basically bring him back to life. So I sort of wonder, like, if the player has infinite chances, right? Like, they will keep attempting a fight until they get it right. If Yozora is also the playable character of Verum Rex, or whatever his game ends up being called, if he even gets a game, wouldn't, like, both versions of those characters are going to keep trying to win, trying that fight until they win.
Right.
And yeah, I feel like that's the ultimate example of, yes, you literally do at that point create 2 timelines of which, okay, player 1 won and player 2 won in that case. Like, but they're both equally
wacky.
valid, right? Like,
yeah.
I just don't know where that takes us. Like, where the hell do we go with that? If like can Sora canonically ever lose a fight, right? Like,
yeah, I don't think. Well, isn't there? You like, there's what I think you asked this during the charity for charity live stream, but you can lose against. Oh, that's another actually. That's another indication. Like in Kingdom Hearts 1, you can lose
Leon, and a couple other times. Yeah.
Sorry, did I say Cloud? Yeah. You can lose against, or I think Cloud you can lose against too. But you can lose and you can not, and you can.
Yeah.
Words. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But they both continue the story.
Yes.
Like, I guess that could. It's not as much as like the Xehanort fight, right? But it still happens, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think the point I made was like any like do or die fight, Sora has to lose, and I feel like canonically he probably did lose to Leon, and it'd be kind of shitty if he didn't, right? Like if Leon's like theoretically had this entire lifetime of fighting with a sword, what have you. Like, it'd be pretty shitty if he did lose to some kid who literally just picked up a key for 10 seconds ago.
Yeah.
You know,
True.
lost his entire home to darkness and is now beating the piss out of, like, Like I could see people beating that on their first try, especially on like a lower difficulty, like once you get the hang of it. But like even that assumes some knowledge of video games, right? Like if you were literally some kid who's brand new, just picked up this key sword for the first time, and his only experience with it before is like fighting with a toy wooden sword on an island. Like, again, if you were this fresh-faced little youth who picked up a controller for the first time, you probably wouldn't beat Leon on your first try. You'd probably canonically lose to him because, you know, I don't know. I can just see this getting, like, even the way that the Wardens of the characters literally talk to you, like, oh, that teaser, blah, 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 like,
yeah.
I can see the meta-ness being canon to the story.
And I think, well, the whole Xehanort and the Azor fight, it just kind of shows that, you losing over and over and over with Sora is canon.
It's canon, yeah, it is. But the player performs the power of waking on Sora again and brings him back. Which gets even crazier if you think about the player being the playable character of Union Cross. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. There's a rabbit hole there that I don't know how far deep it goes, but like, I'm down it and I've got like one pinky still clinging onto the top and I'm like, oh, don't let go. But, or I'll never surface again, never make a video ever again.
I wonder if we'll ever get any kind of confirmation, or I'm sure like 10 years later, but the whole Xehanort and the player, like you're dreaming of the player.
Oh yeah, supposedly. I'm sure that's going to come up. It has to, right? Like that's like the only interesting thing that's, well, it's not, but it's like, for me, one of the only interesting things that are happening right now in the game. It's like, why the hell Ericus and Xehanort, and for whatever reason only those two getting visions from the player, if they are, I don't know, unless it's like, I don't know, maybe a story being told that I don't know but God, I know I have more, but I don't know how much longer we should do this.
I think that's probably I think the only thing I had to add to the Fabric of Time thing is Joshua, right? He does he up vibe or upscale? I don't remember what the term is, but he breaks through to another day. Yep. And then I think he's able to return. I think that's what Mr. H finds out, but he's just kind of hanging out there.
Well, Mr. H has to be the one that goes and gets him. So Mr. H says in one of the reports, I need to now wait for Joshua to signal which parallel world he slipped into.
Right. But that whole thing is like, Joshua like moves to this different parallel world, and then Mr. H talks about how like you can't get back if your vibe dips too low.
Okay.
And I'm like, this is kind of like a headcanon thing, but the whole thing with the power of waking is like if you misuse it, then you're gonna be trapped in a world and you can't get back. Like you just lose the power, right? Yes. That to me is like
it's dropping down. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like lowering your vibe too far and you can't return. Like,
great point. Yeah.
One to me, but
it's a great point. Yeah. That's excellent. Yeah. I don't know. Every now and then I think about like how like Neku gets all these headaches the way that Roxas used to whenever he was like confronted by like.
And the same thing, like, right? It's their memories or whatever that they can't remember.
Exactly. It's literally memories. Yeah. It's exactly the same thing. Like, well, like with Neku, it's whenever Minamoto is around, which I think is because like he and Joshua were there when Neku died, which is the memory that's being like suppressed. So I think like seeing both of them at the same time keeps freaking him out because he doesn't get that issue just with Joshua, which you think he kind of should, given that Joshua is like the guy that did the deed. But
yeah, that's
whenever weird. They're both there, then he always starts getting the memory flashes, the headaches, I should say.
Right.
Which is like same as Roxas would always collapse whenever he'd be like confronted with memories like that.
And I'm sure we're gonna go more into that with the new game, the Melody of Memories.
Yeah. Won't be long now.
2 weeks?
3 weeks from the time of this recording. Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. It's crazy.
Less than 3. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. I cannot freaking wait.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Oh goodness, I'm just trying to look over my notes here real quick and see if there's anything else. Talked about falling asleep in broad daylight, waking up at the start of the next day, like dropping. Yeah, we talked about Shiki and her appearance, just like Yuzora.
Oh, there are 2 points they're kind of important. Sorry, you can keep
No,
looking
no,
at your
go,
notes.
please.
So yeah, the fact that Joshua in the Dream Drop Distance, like he's kind of like he doesn't control the Reaper's game, even though like he should. I'm wondering if that's like part of his game, because he kind of treats everything like a game. Because he pops into the Reaper's game and is like Neku's partner, even though he's like in control of the game. So I'm wondering if it's kind of like that, where Joshua, because he's like, I don't know, like would he just summon these monsters to take out Neku and all them? Like, is that just fun to him, or?
I feel like the game is a regular thing that happens anyway, right? Like he is the composer of this game, and it's something that will always happen, right? Like it's. They said it was really rare that they had to work 3 weeks in a row, right? Like the Reapers are talking about at the start of the game. Like I can't believe we're working 2 weeks in a row. What? 3 weeks? That's unheard of. It's never happened before. So it's something that happens like regularly, but not all the time. So I guess like, you know, all these deaths that happen in Shibuya, I guess all the souls are collected, and whenever there's maybe a sufficient amount, then okay, let's play a game. Maybe it happens once every couple of weeks, maybe it happens once a month, who knows? But that's the chance for then the Reapers to try and earn their promotion, to try and earn their way up into the plane of the angels. That's the chance of the players to try and get their redemption, whatever, like get more out of life in death, whatever. So I think it is something that happens, not like Joshua would be running his regular game all the time, I suppose, like whenever the criteria is met to launch a game.
Right. But with Neku in them again, that doesn't.
So he's sort of like, he cheats in a way, right? Like, because he chooses like his proxy. He goes, okay, I'm going to choose Neku as my proxy. Well, only because he's standing in front of the mirror, right? Like half the reason he was chosen is because Mr. H has got his huge imagination, and basically through his artwork imprints that imagination onto other people, and calls them to the mural. Like he imprints what is it? He imprints calling, and he imprints like live life how you want to live it, or something along those lines. And the first one is meant to like resonate with people with other high imaginations, and the second one is meant to draw them to the mural, so that when Joshua runs past, oh cool, a candidate that I need is right here. Sweet. Poof. Got one. Nice. But then he's like, after that, he's more or less hands off for the first week, right? They talk about how in his like more angelic form, he has a certain level of clairvoyance. Like he knows a certain amount of the future.
Which he points out in Dream Drop Distance.
Right. But yeah, like the more he downtunes himself back to being into like a regular mortal, the less effective that is, to the point where I figure it can't be like too far in advance, right? Because even then, like if he was just a full powered angel, why even bother running the game if you could see more than 3 weeks in advance? Why would you not go, okay, let's play the game. Oh, cool, I win. Cool. All right, don't even have to worry about it then. Sweet. Like, I guess we'll just skip it because I already know the outcome before we even begin.
Well, that's what I think makes Joshua special. I don't think every composer has that ability. I think Mr. H kind of, it sounds more like this composer is special kind of thing, as opposed to every composer has clairvoyance.
Let's find the report. Search for Claire. Normally, the composer possesses a certain degree of clairvoyant foresight. His current downtuned state, I should say, however, limits his abilities, clouding this supertemporal vision.
Yeah, so to me that means the composer isn't like all composers, it's just this composer. But because he talk about before how this composer's level of imagination is unprecedented or something like that?
I'm not sure.
Maybe not. Yeah, I could be wrong. I guess it still sounds to me like he's talking about Joshua rather than all composers. But I guess, is there only one composer? Is that... I don't remember. I figured that
Like
was
it's one
per
composer
ground.
per game. Yeah. Yes. That's my interpretation of it. Yeah.
I guess though, if there's only like if each ground has their own reapers, and they're saying, oh, we don't work for weeks sometimes, maybe that's because Joshua, the composer, the one composer, is jumping around each ground, doing all these games. But
I feel like, yeah. No, I feel like each one has one. From
yeah,
memory.
because it sounds kind of from Report 7, right? The composer's absence during this particular game, however, means that blah, blah, blah. Like, it seems like the composer would be around for... But I guess that could still mean that...
Because the conductor in this game is the composer's proxy. I feel like the composer is the one running practically everything in every other game.
Mm-hmm. But if it is only one game per month, it could be bound. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that.
I feel like it'd be just too many different... Because if a tiny section of... If one ward in Tokyo is our ground, surely the entire world is filled with like thousands, if not upon thousands of different undergrounds, each with their own games.
True.
I would assume. I don't know.
I think I agree with that. Yeah, 'cause, yeah, that would be pretty crazy.
What happens if you like die in a plane over international waters? Like, yes, you're playing the Bermuda Triangle game. Yes, very good.
Don't get eaten by a shark.
Exactly. Yeah, just. God. All right. Well, maybe we can, because I'm definitely gonna do like a video about this where we just sort of like combine all these ideas into one, just like easy to digest format, maybe. But I'm glad we've done this now, just to sort of like get these ideas out in the open and maybe like go, this was a good one, this was a good one, this was a good one. Maybe we can like work on this one a bit more. But yeah, like I know I have more stuff, and the second I hit stop recording, I'm gonna kick myself and go, that bloody hell. But yeah, man, I mean, if you're happy, maybe we can wrap this up here. And I guess if you want to help me out with the full video, you want to be a co-host on that one too, then by all means, that'd be sick. But
I feel like your level of knowledge surpasses mine by a great deal. So maybe.
Oh jeez. Well, we'll talk about that. But anyway, man, thank you so much for having a chat with me, man. This has been really fun, and we'll definitely do it again. Because we've been talking just about a game we barely know anything about, let alone all the stuff we still want to talk about with the main series that we know and love so much.
The main series. The world ends up to use the side title now of Kingdom Hearts. It's official.
But I mean, like the main one to that is consumed and done in our lives over, eaten into bits.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Where can people find you?
WaterKH on YouTube and Twitter and Twitch. Mm-hmm. I've been streaming a lot more on Twitch, but yeah, it's been good. Horror games, because it's like, well, I like horror games, but October is also a good month to do horror games.
Very spooky for horror games. That's right.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, that's me.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and I definitely, if anyone hasn't checked out his theory videos already, like really, really well done discussions, amazing editing, and really cool topics that definitely aren't as explored as much by the rest of the community. So highly, highly recommend them. But yeah, man, thank you so much. And I'll have to help you out with the video at some point as well. Because you've helped me out tremendously with this one. So
appreciate it. Yeah.
All right, man. Yeah, I'll see you guys a bit later on. Hopefully we'll get this out for you before the weekend ends. And yeah, take it easy, guys. Thanks again, man. All right.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's fun.
Bye.